I made some videos highlighting the Marvel vs. Capcom modding scene and how tremendous progress has been, as well as the cool projects we've gotten thanks to the community. So much so that it's gone from Marvel 3 to Marvel Infinite, as a whole redesigned version of the game is in progress thanks to people like Maximilian. I wanted to talk about another modding scene though, one that's just as interesting and as dedicated as the Marvel scene. Every now and then, I get into the habit of watching clips from Smash tournaments, specifically Melee. I can't explain why, but it always fascinates me to see Smash clips. It's something so beautiful that I can't look away. Only recently did I get into the habit of trying out Melee, since I've never played it. Doing some research, I found out that Melee had a pretty impressive modding scene. I already knew about Project M and how it basically modified Brawl to play more like Melee, and that's a whole other video for another day. But for now, I want to talk about 4 specific mods in Melee that enhance my experience. As I mentioned, I never played Melee. I played 2 to 3 matches when I was like 8 years old at a friend's house, but that was it. Even then, I didn't know any of the mechanics used in the tournament scene. Terms like wave dashing and L cancelling were things that I understood, but could never fully comprehend and perform on my own. It was pretty hard to do L cancelling initially. Then, somebody online told me to try out a mod called the Uncle Punch Training Mod. It was a mod designed by a user named Uncle Punch, made to help people out with tournament mechanics. I thought it was a lost cause and I'd still be absolute shit. And yet, after some trial and error, I found myself able to get the timing of L cancelling just right. There's a bar at the top of the screen that perfectly shows how late and how early you are at the inputs, as well as a counter on the right that shows your timing at pressing the L button. I tried it out with Mario's aerials and I absolutely nailed it. Yes, my main is Mario. No, I don't care that he's mid tier. I like him, I'll play him. I'm still having trouble with wave dashing though. I can get one out every now and then, but I wouldn't say I'm competent at it, and I'm not really that confident until I can do it consistently. The mod itself is really well made, from the amount of mechanics and tech you can learn to the helpful tips that pop up should there be any slight error. The mod is a must-have for anyone who wants to get into Melee, and if you want a big breakdown on the mod, Leffen has a whole video explaining it. You should check it out. The next mod I want to talk about isn't a necessity, but if you're tired of looking at the same graphics and want to give Melee a fresh coat of paint, then look no further than the Animelee mod. It's no secret that while the look of the game is iconic, in an era where we use high-definition TVs and monitors, the graphics stand out quite a bit. That's why Animelee is the perfect texture mod. Melee has a unique charm to it that makes it fun and quirky, and Animelee just enhances that. The characters come out looking better than they ever had, while also being their expressive selves. The mod also works on the stages, and that's where the biggest differences lie. If you've ever gotten tired of seeing the same stages in tournaments, which isn't hard given that there's only 6 legal stages, Animelee redefines them and makes them look even better. It even works in the Slippi launcher, which I'll talk about in a minute. Right now, I want to move on to a mod that's more similar to something the guys over in the Marvel community have been working on. If you grew up playing Melee, one of the biggest rumors was the possibility that Sonic the Hedgehog was a secret character. What if I told you it's true? At least true thanks to Team Akaneia. The Akaneia Build is a dream come true for anyone who wondered, what if Melee had more characters? What if Melee had more development time? What if Melee had DLC? The Akaneia Build seamlessly adds 5 new characters to Melee: Wolf, Charizard, Diddy Kong, Lucas, and the Blue Blur himself, Sonic the Hedgehog. This probably is my favorite mod ever, just because it feels like a real thing Nintendo would do. The characters don't feel out of place, and given the time that Melee came out, it's reasonable to think that these characters could have made it into Melee. To see them realized like this is a dream come true. They fit right in, down to the sound effects and the models. I'd love it if there was an Akaneia tournament one day. I would pay to see that shit. Finally, the mod I want to talk about last is possibly the most revolutionary of all the mods here, the Slippi launcher. Prior to this mod's creation, players could play Melee online through Netplay with sites like Anter's Ladder. In the late 2010s though, the world was introduced to Slippi. At the time, it was a work in progress with much needed work to be done. Then, in the summer of 2020, an update had come out, giving Slippi rollback netcode as well as matchmaking. It was perfect given that this was in the middle of the COVID pandemic when every in-person tournament had been shut down due to the virus. This gave players the perfect opportunity to do online tournaments as well as introduce new players like me into the scene by being able to practice with other people. It also features ranked and unranked matchmaking and can also save replays. If you weren't familiar, Rollback netcode was a rather new type of netcode, and lots of other studios had difficulty implementing it into their fighting games, so this was a huge plus. I can play Melee seamlessly with no connection errors. Melee doesn't need these mods to be an amazing game. The hard work of Sakurai and his team at HAL Laboratories was enough. However, these mods are important to the game's longevity amongst its community. Capcom gets to re-release the Marvel games and fans are ecstatic, but you can't expect Nintendo to do the same with a Melee re-release. Mods like Slippi and Training Mode exist because of Nintendo's lack of support. There's also a reason behind why Akaneia exists. Melee was developed within the span of only 13 months, with Sakurai only taking 40-hour workdays, going home to sleep for 4, and then going back to work. There were characters like Wario, Lucas, and Sonic who were meant to be in Melee, yet never did due to time constraints. Thanks to the Akaneia build though, most of these characters have been fully realized, and I can only pray that Wario makes it in. Big shoutouts to Fizzy and the team behind the Slippi launcher, as well as Uncle Punch, Team Akaneia, and the team behind Animelee. You guys are doing amazing. With that being said, I'm Jay Samra, goodbye, sayonara, alvida, peace.